We are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello. It is Mystery Monday, and I am delighted to welcome back for the second year in a row, Lynne Reeves, here to give us the inside scoop on her brand new book, Dark Rivers to Cross, out tomorrow. Lynne, welcome back to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Well, thank you so much for having me back. I remember our conversation last year was so lively and rich, and I'm excited to do that again tonight. Uh, Dark Rivers to Cross is a story about a woman on the run, and you don't know why she's on the run, but it also tells the story of her two adult sons. They live in the wilderness in the northern woods of Maine along the Penobscot River. So nature factors into the story in a really strong way. We definitely get to explore the nature nurture question, which is how much are our inherited traits responsible for the way we live in the world, and how much is it the environment that we live in? Lena is the mom, and she has kept a secret from her sons, and one of them desperately wants to know, and one of them does not. And it sets the stage for quite a mystery.
Quite a mystery indeed. And just with that, we have so much to get into, so much to talk about. And I can't wait to get into all of the tasty themes that you just mentioned. But first, I just want to welcome everyone. We are broadcasting live to 6 destinations across Facebook and YouTube. So no matter where you're watching from, you're in the right place. This is the right time, and it is Mystery Monday. If you've been here before, you know the drill. And if you're new, welcome, friends. We're so happy to have you. Here's the drill. Every Monday for hashtag Mystery Monday, I give you my handpicked featured authors, and you get to ask them anything. So ask Lynne about how her career as a therapist informed this story, what part of the story is about adoption, about domestic violence, about the woods in Maine, the spiritual connection to the mystery of the mystical, wonderful, beautiful nature. We got a lot to talk about, and let's get right into the comments. Melissa, welcome from Australia, saying good day, Sara and Lynne. Good day to you, Melissa. Thank you for joining us. Julie, welcome to the conversation, saying hi, Sara and Lynne. Hey, Julie. We have Wendy's joining us. She says, hi, Sara and Lynne. Welcome back, Lynne, and congratulations on your new book, giving us all the bookish love there. This is from Wendy. She is AKA Catch a Clue. So Lynne, let's kick off with, so you had you had this mystery out last year. You did a special pre-launch event. You're back with a new one. What's changed for you? Anything in your process as a writer? Are you committed to your process? Has your process evolved? What's going on with you?
I really feel like I'm getting the hang of this thing now. This is novel 5 for me. And I really found that what is exciting for me, and it feels like it's exciting for readers, is the idea that I take characters that I feel are struggling with some of the most undiscussable family topics, and I center those stories around social issues that we are grappling with today. And then I just give us a sort of roller coaster ride with a mystery domestic suspense story. And that's what Dark Rivers to Cross is.
Well, I like that you said that you center the story on things which we don't feel like we can talk about. Mm-hmm. So, for those who do not know, Lynne is a therapist. So actually your real life career, your career in real life is talking about these things. And I noticed in your dedication that you dedicated it to women who are, I want to get it exactly right, torn between impossible choices. So you've seen that, and you talk about that, bringing domestic violence into the story. So, Lynne, what can you tell us about this?
Sure. Well, I shared with you earlier that I have a content warning in there because we do talk about family violence in this story, and it is explored. But again, because I am a therapist, and because I also really do care about people being able to approach fiction as a safe place to talk about these issues, that I actually took great care in writing the 2 most powerful scenes of the book. And I was very careful and thoughtful about the way I describe what's happening in this woman's life. But it's really important for me that we do go to these places where we talk about these matters that people really don't want to engage, or they don't know how to engage, or they're worried that if they talk about them, they'll upset other people. And that's what I love about fiction, is it gives us that little bit of breathing space to say, what would I do? What might I do if I were in that situation? And my dedication to women torn between impossible choices really is a nod to what I believe, which is that it is courageous to do anything in the face of very difficult circumstances. And so there is no one way to deal with one's relationships, and especially abusive ones, difficult ones, challenging ones. So again, this idea that it's courageous no matter what you do, because these are not easy things to figure out, right? There's a lot of mental gymnastics in good relationships, never mind in ones that feel unsafe.
Ooh, thank you for that explanation, Lynn. And I see comments are coming in, and someone is telling us that we have an issue with the sound, that it's breaking up. I'm so sorry that that is happening. I'm plugged into an Ethernet. I'm hardwired into the wall. Lynn, you are too. So we've done everything we can to maximize this. I'm so sorry that in spite of these efforts, we are having an issue, and it's affecting your sound quality. I hope that resolves. Can you just let us know if it's getting better or if it's still an issue? And hang in there with us. We're gonna get through this. Thank you for letting us know about this. Lynn, thank you for that explanation as well. I like the idea of fiction, being a place to explore these things. And I see I missed a couple comments. I'm going to scroll back here. Anissa's in the house. Hey, Anissa. She said, hello, Sara and Lynn, joining us from South Carolina. Anissa, great to have you. And we have another mystery user joining us saying, hi, Sara and Lynn, look forward to the session. Welcome to the session. We're so glad you're here. Thanks for joining us. If you're watching from a private Facebook group, sometimes the name and picture don't come through. That's okay. This is Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Okay, people are telling us that the sound is fine.
Yay.
Sound is sounding good. Regina, welcome to the conversation. Regina's tarot and witchcraft. Ooh, welcome, Regina. Everybody else sounds good. Okay, good. So we're seeming like the sound is okay. Okay, hopefully that has resolved it for the folks that were having an issue as well. Lynn, let's jump into some of the praise that this book has earned. So first, kicking off with Karen Dionne, who calls the book riveting, propulsive, and haunting. I'm going to pop that up so that we can all read it together. She said that she absolutely loved Dark Rivers to Cross, and she's giving you bonus points for its wilderness setting. Clearly, Karen Dionne knows her way around a wilderness setting.
She does.
Let's talk about that. How you set this in rural Maine. Tell us why that matters to you. Why'd you set it there?
So my family has been taking vacations in Maine for 25 years, and we live in neighboring Massachusetts. And so it's not that far for us to go. And we've fallen in love with the state. And then the more north you go, the more wilderness it is, the more rugged the landscape. And I've been very much inspired by Henry Thoreau's Maine. He writes a book called The Maine Woods, where he explores the nature there. And I started doing the research. And once I realized that this story really was going to examine nature and nurture and how much that influences who we are as people, I thought, oh, the wilderness has to be a character. The river must be a character. And it's my hope that readers will find that it is.
I like how you're talking about nature versus nurture as you're setting a book so firmly in nature, because anyone who has taken even a simple walk in the woods knows that primal, deep, connection and essence that can be found in the magic of the woods. And in this particular book, Lena has two sons, and one really seems to feel that connection to the woods more. The younger one seems to feel the connection to the woods more than the older one, who's happy to go off to college. Yeah, we're also exploring sibling relationships in there.
Yes.
So Lynn, tell me. Yeah.
So what I really wanted to examine here too was, what would it be like if one of them was at home in nature and one was rejecting it? What would happen if you lived that far away and that remotely? and where you lived dictated so much of your life, and yet you were rejecting that. What would that feel like for Jonah? And what did it feel like for Luke, who was at home there and who felt like he didn't
Mhm.
need to find out the family backstory? He didn't want to find out what the mother was hiding because he was content where he was.
Right. Right. So as a therapist, Lynn, and a writer exploring these sibling relationships, what do you think? Is it nature versus nurture? Is it one more than the other? What is your professional opinion?
So it's totally both, and it just operates differently in different of us, right? So what I was able to examine, which was really fun, was that yes, both of these young men who are now adults have been shaped by where they live, and both of them have been shaped by their relationship with their mother. And the secrets that Lena is keeping has also shaped their relationships, because the very thing she is keeping is creating a distance between her sons, and they feel it on some level. The things that she's not telling them live between them. And so they're both affected, they're just
Mm.
affected in different ways. And so that is why there's a journey for one of them to figure out what she's hiding, while the other one is reluctant to find out what she's hiding.
Ooh, interesting. I like how you succinctly capture the essence of the mystery there. George Beach, welcome to the conversation, says he loves Maine. He did his Navy survival training there. He
Ooh.
climbed Mount Katahdin, which
Mhm.
Mount Katahdin takes it plays a big part in your book there, Lynn. We're right, literally right there at the
Yes.
foothills of Mount Katahdin. He lived on Scudic, I'm probably mispronouncing that, Scudic Point. It's absolutely beautiful.
Ooh, it is beautiful. That is a gorgeous part of Maine.
Is so why did you pick that part of Maine? Is that just the one that you know, Lynn? Is that where your family goes to Mount Katahdin, or does it hold some mystical, fictional place?
Well, I really needed there to be that turbulent water. I needed that river. I needed that rugged landscape. I really loved the fact that Lena has created this wilderness resort where people can get off the grid and actually enjoy nature. And she and her sons take the guests of Church's Overlook on whitewater rafting trips and camping trips in Baxter State Park, where Katahdin is. And it just, the landscape was just wonderful for the story. Um, and I really did want the novel to feel almost as if you are on white water, because there are moments where Lena will drive the story forward and the boys will thwart her. And there are times where they're driving it forward and she's providing the obstacles. And I really wanted you to feel, as you were reading it, like you yourself were on a little bit of whitewater. So that's hopefully my goal, is that people feel that, when Karen said it was propulsive, that was everything to me.
I see what you did there. Okay, I get it. I get it. And George, what a perfect place to do one's naval training, survival training, because you see that in this book. You really are trying to survive out there
Mhm.
again with the elements, with the wild things that live in the elements, with the big creatures and the
Yes.
rough waters and it can be scary out there at night. At one point, Lena says, "You're not going to last the night out here because it's rough going."
That's right.
Um, Nisa wants to know which character was the hardest to write and why. So you got a lot of characters in here. Tell us.
Yes. So the hardest character to write was definitely Lena. And that's because I knew the secret she was keeping, but she needed that secret that she was keeping to create the distance between her sons. But I didn't want the secret she was keeping to keep her distant from readers. So I wanted readers to feel close to her and empathetic, even though she holds herself back. She holds herself back from her relationships. She's not a big discloser. She's not a big talker. She doesn't interact with the guests of Church's Overlook very much. She keeps to herself. And I think it's in a way because she doesn't trust herself not to tell people what she's holding. But I didn't want readers to feel like she was at a remove from them. I wanted them to care for her and to root for her and to care that she was in a dangerous situation, but at the same time respecting that it was affecting her parenting. For
Ah,
sure.
okay, okay. Now, Anissa, thank you for that juicy question that led us to that juicy answer. Now, Lynn, did the book start with you from that secret? Was that the kernel from which the story sprang? Can you bring us back to the inception moment of where you thought of this idea?
Sure. Sometimes for me, I get separate ideas that I don't know if they go together, and it takes me a little bit of time to let it sink in. I always knew that I'd set a novel in Maine in some place. I always knew that I wanted to write about the impact of family violence on parenting and on how children grow into adults and how that lingers in their backstory. So I knew I wanted to write those things, but when Lena came to me, and I knew that she was going to keep this secret from her sons and that it would affect their closeness, then it all kind of clicked for me. So her situation did come to me first, and then how to play that out and what her children, who her children would be, and who would help her on her journey, because there are some characters that actually help her keep a secret, and that was very fun to do.
Indeed, some from her past life and some from her current rural
Yes,
mountaineering existence.
yes,
George is saying in his days doing the survival training in Mount Katahdin, he buried himself under an exposed tree root to escape the bad guys. Perfect location for mysteries. Oh my gosh. Wow. George, I'm picturing yourself just digging in there and then burying yourself.
yeah.
Wow.
Well, it sounds like George has something to write.
George, we need your story, George. George is a frequent face here for us. Always appreciate your presence, sir, and thank you for your service as well. And perhaps we will someday be hosting you, Mr. Beach. Melissa would like to know, Lynn, did you choose the title? So let's talk about the title, Dark Rivers to Cross. Tell us the story of the title.
Yes. So I was fortunate to choose Dark Rivers to Cross, and my publisher loved it. It serves a couple of purposes. As I said, the novel is constructed to feel like a river. So we all knew river had to be in the title. There is a literal dark river that the characters must cross as part of how the story evolves. And so that is a literal dark river to cross. But there's also a character who is a dark person to cross. And that character is really at the heart of whether or not Lena and her sons will ever be able to forgive one another for what they do and the choices they make. So there is a dark person to cross too. So metaphorically speaking, it worked.
Let's also dive a little more deeply. Was that the first title you chose, Lynn, or did you give them a buffet of choices, or how did that work with you choosing it? I
Yes,
think Lucy
it
proposed it.
only, yeah, the novel only had one other title, and it wasn't jazzy enough, but it helped me. So sometimes titles can help me in my working process. The original title was called Cross Current. And
Ooh,
the idea of a cross current is that there are two competing currents.
that's one of the little introductions to the chapter, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. And so remember, my inspiration was to make it a river and to make it turbulent. So when I was thinking cross current, I was thinking Lena is going in one direction, Luke is going in another direction, and there it is.
I got it. And they said no, that's too vague.
No, I think I said no. I said
Oh.
that it felt like a really good inspiration as a working title for the book, but it didn't have that. The book is a little dark, so it needed to feel like the title needed to clue people in that you're going to be going on a ride, right?
You better strap in for that dark river to cross.
Yes.
Okay, great question here. Someone joining us saying a mystery user, a mystery identity saying, I'm beginning to read mysteries and psychological thrillers after many years of historical fictions. I found they're so interesting. Well, first of all, welcome to the best genre. We're so happy to have you. We're so happy you have seen the light. No, I'm just kidding. I love historical fiction. I love historical novels. I still read a bunch of those. And also, we're so happy you're here. Tell us what kind of mysteries and thrillers you're dipping a toe into, what you're finding that you like. Anissa says the cover really pulls you into this book. Was this the first cover? Let's hear it.
It
Can you
was.
hold it up, Lynn? Because I think your mine's reflecting a
Yes,
little. Let's
it
see it.
it was the first cover, and it
Ooh,
is spectacular. It really does capture the vibe. So again, there's a sort of torn paper treatment, but when you look at it, it really does look like that whitewater. I just think they did a really beautiful job capturing Lena too. That she is present and she's not, right. She really seems detached in a way, and that's absolutely right for the story. So I could not be happier. I think they nailed it.
that is so good to hear because sometimes we don't hear that. So it makes me happy when we see Anissa, who's an amazing bookstagrammer who reviews a ton of books, that to see it resonating and to hear that you're happy with it too,
Love
Lynn,
that.
as
Love
the
that.
author, that you feel it captures the book. George saying, boy, would I have some stories he says he would tell us, but then he'd have to kill us all. Perhaps maybe we don't need to hear George's stories. I might risk it. And Melissa saying she is here for that dark river, and what a great explanation. Melissa, thank you for your question and your comment. Anissa saying just such an awesome cover. It really is. It's so cool and great to know that that was the first one that you got it. Thanks for all the hearts up on Facebook, y'all. I appreciate it. Lynn, let's hop over to this fabulous review from Catherine McKenzie. Gonna pop it on up here so that we can all read it together. She is the USA Today bestselling author of Never Tell, and she says that this is an emotional and thrilling story about the ghosts that carry and bury trauma in our own lives and the role that this plays in the choices we make.
Mhm.
What a powerful, thoughtful review. She said, dark rivers to cross will keep you turning the pages into the night. So first of all, how wonderful to have such an important topic received so powerfully and so deeply, and a reflection on your ability to do that, Lynn. And second of all, you kept Catherine McKenzie up, turning those pages late into the night. What do you think the secret is to writing a book that keeps people up?
I think that we have to really feel like there's something at stake for the character.
Ooh.
I think that even though this is a traditional domestic suspense, psychological thriller, whatever category you want to call it, it is traditional in that sense that there is something to unravel and there are people in danger, and we need to figure out how all those pieces go together. But it's also really important for my work that there's another layer, which is we're trying to figure out what happens to these people, what by keeping secrets, at what cost. And when a mother protects her children at all costs, what does she have to give up? What does she have to relinquish? What is her sacrifice? And so
Ooh.
even though the boys have different ideas around what she could have done or should have done, at the end of the day, her motives were love. Her motive was love. She was trying to protect them. That's important for me to unpack. That's important
Mm.
for me to examine.
Ooh, I like that you did that. And I think that comes through having just read it. I think that really does come through. Lynn, let's look at some other we have 5 minutes left, y'all. So I think we can take two, maybe three questions. So get them going in the comments. I want to make sure that everyone gets their question in. Meanwhile, I'm going to hop up while your little fingers are flying. I'm going to pop this one up from Julie Carrick Dalton. She is the author of Waiting for the Night Song. And she says, a heart in your throat, page turner, that shines a compassionate light on the injustices surrounding domestic violence and the failures of our mental health care system.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So again, right there in your day job, Ballywick, Lynn, and your response to this.
Well, it kind of goes back to what we mentioned before about the impossible choices. I think that our systems of care for women, our systems of care for families are sorely lacking. And so when we sort of cavalierly say to somebody, well, just go get help, Lena tries, it doesn't help her. What happens when she makes her own choices? Well, those aren't so great either. She finds her support in individual people, though, people of goodwill, people of good hearts, and that is, I think, what keeps her going. But at the end of the day, we do have a lot of work to do in these systems and how they care for the least among us and those who are struggling. And I guess maybe it's just important for us to, on this eve of voting, make sure we keep that in forefront of our minds, that the choices that we make when we vote speak to these systems and whether or not these systems are there for the people that need our help.
Mm. I was just going to say, what is an action step that all of us can take to ensure that? And you just answered the question. We can vote.
We can vote, and we can listen, because a lot of people have stories to tell that are hard to listen to. Some women have a lot of pain that they want to share, but they don't feel like there's a safe landing space for it. So listening, being there for our friends, being there for our family members, is a really wonderful first step.
Oh, I love that. Julie wants to know, Lynne, what books would you recommend? We know what books I'm recommending. What books would you recommend? Great question.
I just read 2 books because this is set in northern Maine and there are some characters who are native to the area. The Penobscot tribe is native to that area. And I just read a wonderful collection of short stories called Night of the Living Rez by Morton Dalty. And he writes about being native and living in Maine. And it's a beautiful collection for really understanding what it feels like to live and be native to that land. So that's a wonderful book to read.
And what was that title one more time? Night of the Living
Rez, R-E-Z, as in reservation, right?
Okay.
Yeah, his name is Morgan Talty, Talty.
Perfect.
And then another book that maybe you already know about, but I just read it and it was wonderful, is called Northern Spy by Flynn Berry. Ooh. And it's set in Ireland during the Troubles, and it's also a knockout mystery.
Ooh, thank you for these 2 great recommendations. And Julie, thank you for the great question, which gave us these answers. Y'all, the book is out tomorrow. Lynne, how you feeling? You nervous? Will you be up all night biting your nails? Will you tell us how you're doing over there?
I'm always nervous and excited, all wrapped in one. I may not be up biting my nails, but I'll probably have a few dreams to keep me awake in some way, shape, or form. It's a years-long effort to bring a book into the world, and so it's mostly good feelings. And I'm grateful to be here today for that reason.
Yay. Well, the book is out tomorrow, y'all, and you can order it tonight. So go ahead, and I'm going to pop the link in the right here in the comments. So no matter where you're watching from, you can grab your copy of Dark Rivers to Cross. And the good folks at Murder by the Book will send it out to you tomorrow. Lynne, thank you so much for joining us for the 2nd year in the row. Oh, what a pleasure to have you back. And we here's the link, everybody. My computer is a tiny bit slow, but what a pleasure to welcome you back for the 2nd year in a row and to get the inside scoop on Dark Rivers to Cross. Oh, Anissa has a question. I'm sorry. What is a book on your nightstand that would surprise readers?
Probably a book of poetry that is also a book of prayers. It's called, I'm going to have to send it to you so we can put the link in, but it's by a poet priest named John O'Donohue, and it's a beautiful book of blessings.
Oh, I love that.
I'll send you that link and we'll get it up there.
Okay, perfect. Anissa, thank you for the great question. And what a lovely answer, Lynne. Thank you so much. Y'all, here is the link to Lynne's book, Dark Rivers to Cross, out tomorrow. Lynne, thank you so much for joining us for the 2nd year in a row. What a pleasure to celebrate your launch event tomorrow with a special pre-launch tell-all. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. It's always wonderful to chat with you.
Yay. Always wonderful to have you. Everybody click that link, order. They will send you Dark Rivers to Cross tomorrow when the book drops. And I will be back at the top of the hour with Aaron Phillip Clark. Stay tuned.